too.
Okay, very neat.
So,
Awesome. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and get started, and then if others join in, we can certainly, catch them up to speed. I do want this to be interactive. I know it's a small group today, but if you have questions, feel free to, raise your hand or, feel free to unmute yourself and chime in. Um, and then, so yeah, today's topic is how to spend 10,000 to make 500K in GCI, which is about a 5,000 percent return on investment for your SOI plan. I think that will be tough to beat. Okay. So what we're going to cover today is what is marketing, and kind of how we approach marketing in our business at Keitho Realty. Um, Chasing, a rabbit hole I went down of chasing shiny objects for leads, why consistency works, our specific marketing calendar and what we do, and then I'm going to do a deep dive on hosting events, as well as share our our giveaway plan, and you can actually I'll share a giveaway playbook, which is one of our marketing activities. Before I go further, I do realize I didn't introduce myself. So Keith O'Hare, I am an individual agent out of the Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina market. I have full-time director of operations. I've been in the business for about 8 years. The past several years, I've gotten a chance to be a part of Gary Keller's top 200 individual agent mastermind. I think last year I was number five for GCI out of our Carolinas region at about 9,000 agents. So, hopefully this, not to brag, but more just to say like, I'm not somebody who's just spitting out some plan with no actual results to back it up. So I am, still a full-time agent, in there with you guys, working hard. And then I do. I know Leah through my coach Lucas Hine, and had Lucas had shared some of the success I had had around really doubling down or tripling down on our SOI, and how that's really paved the way for some big results. Just for context, I'd say for like 3 or 4 years in a row, I was at the platinum level, which was like 500,000 in GCI. So somewhere between 500 and 650. And last year we were at, I think, 930. So we made a pretty big jump last year. And a lot of it I would attribute is to what I'm going to share with you today. So marketing, what is marketing, and how do we use it in our business? So here at Keitho Realty, what we do is a lot of our marketing is lead gen focused. We view any outward bound communication as a lot of our marketing. So I know some people might just categorize that as a separate area, but we kind of group that in as part of our lead gen. We do consider that marketing. So what I do for my lead gen is I have a goal of 100 contacts per week. And I divide that between agents and Sphere. So Sphere, I do 50 contacts, and then agents, I do 50 contacts. I'm a little bit looser, I'll be honest, with my agent contacts of, a lot of times I'll count like a social media post or social interaction, but for my Sphere, I do want some type of two-way communication, whether it's a text, a phone call, a coffee meeting, an event, one of our other marketing activities. So I do want some type of engagement or interaction. Agents, I'm a little bit looser a bit, but we do have kind of a specific sphere-based kind of marketing, and then also agent-based marketing. Do any of you guys have weekly goals or contacts that you hope to meet in your business? Yeah. Anybody want to share what your weekly contact goal is? Put you on the spot. Not sure if the chat's popping up in mine. That's okay. So for, and then, a lot of it is like for our business, it's trying to stay top of mind. So, a lot of my business, and I've talked with my coach about this, is not immediate. What we're doing does not always generate the immediate, referral or the immediate business, but it's, when, staying top of mind for when that opportunity does arise. And through that, we wanted to become the go-to resource for information. So for vendors, for any vendors that they need, anything about the community, any questions they have about real estate. And the whole purpose behind all of this is to generate referrals. So for us, we've been really systematized about what we do is we layer our weekly contacts with a newsletter that we send out once a month. And then we have a marketing calendar, which I'm going to dive into today as well. One thing for me, and I'll be curious if anybody else, wants to unmute and share their experience is, a couple years ago, I went to family reunion and attended a session about YouTube. And I thought, hey, this is awesome. I'm going to go become a YouTuber. And this is going to be, I'm going to get all this new business and these new leads. I took a class, I read books, I spent a ton of time, I recorded probably 3 to 4 months worth of videos. I got an editor, I was writing scripts and, filming content and, getting back with the editor. And it was a huge time suck. And I noticed that it was at the expense of my sphere-based business. And my sphere-based business was still steady, but it was not getting as much and I was not getting the same traction. And I know like anything you do in life, it's like you can't expect after YouTube in 3 or 4 months to be, inundated with leads. Like I do farming, which I'll talk about, and I know that it takes time to build traction. But I guess my point is that I had to make a tough decision because I had a really good sphere-based business that was working, and then I had this new lead gen pillar that I was not having the success with that I wanted to. So I had to make a tough call, and I decided actually ended up deciding to pull the plug on YouTube and then just really doubled and tripled down on my sphere. And then but it took a little bit, but after doing that, the sphere-based business not only got back to where it was, but even went to a whole different level. So for me, I realized that like if you're going to be successful in anything, any pillar, you have to make it your one thing and what your core object is. So while I think I could have done well with YouTube, I've seen the people who do really well with that or any lead gen pillar, they're the ones dedicating their time. Like that is their one thing, that is their passion. So for me, I was having a successful sphere-based business, so I decided, you know what, I need to make sure that is my one thing. Curious, if anyone wants to unmute, has anybody else had an experience chasing a shiny object before? Dawn, I see you nodding your head. You want to unmute and share?
Trying to think, there's always a shiny object. It's
Isn't
like you
there?
learn
Yeah.
about something and it's like, ooh, I should do this instead. But like you, it's like I find like the thing I'm really good at is like my people, and that's the thing that feeds me like consistently.
Yeah. And that's what's like, and it's not that you can't have success with these things. And like I love Keller Williams and I love all these, family reunion and mega camp and like all the breakouts and like it's very easy to get like pulled into like this is the newest, latest thing. And I don't think we talk enough about the boring, sphere-based business, but that's actually for most agents, I would say that's a lot of their core business. And that's why I wanted to teach this class today is because I feel like a lot of what works for agents is building around their sphere and building around what's working instead of trying to find the latest, newest thing to implement in their business. Yep. So why consistency works. So consistency for us meant to meeting expectations. It meant easier to stay top of mind. It was easier for us to track. And we gave ourselves permission when we weren't seeing the return on investment to stop doing it. So it's hard. I spent, probably thousands of dollars on editing and courses and the amount of time. And it was tough to after doing that with YouTube to say, okay, I'm going to pull the plug and try to do something else. But, the results were not there. And that's why, I, wanted to lead the title of this course of like, our ROI kind of speaks for itself and why, we're spending a little under $10,000 and getting over 500K in GCI. So I'm a big believer of you can have a very successful sphere-based business without spending a ton of money. And that's what I wanted to share with you guys today. So here, I know this slide is a lot to take in, and we're gonna spend a lot of time on it. But I wanted to walk you through. A lot of classes just kind of talk more vaguely about like, oh, here's what we're doing. But I wanted to actually share like this is our marketing calendar and what we're doing. The left side is around farming. So I do some farming, and being perfectly candid, I've had mixed results with farming. Last year I would say I think we had probably 100 to 125K in GCI out of farming, which it's worked out well, and it has not been there as much this year. So like that is kind of our rotation. We do mailers once a month. So we do have had some farming success, but that is not my bread and butter. That's not what I'm presenting to you today. But I did want to share that, in full transparency, farming, SOI, and agent referrals are really the core of my business. And I would say kind of about 80 to 85% is SOI, and then about 15 to 20% is agent referrals, and the rest is farming. It was a little bit, again, a little bit more last year, but I wanted to talk through specifically our SOI calendar and what we're doing each month. So we are very strategic and try to do a rotation of mailers, pop buys, events, and giveaways are kind of our core four things that we're doing with our sphere. In January, we mail out past client tax packets to anyone that is closed. Raise your hand. Is anyone doing that right now in their business? Yeah. Yeah. So that to me, that's an easy one. And a good tip, and my director of operations implemented this, is as we have closings, we're printing the closing statement there and putting it in the envelope. So it's like it's not a big task come January of like, okay, now I got to look up everybody's closing. Like that is now a checklist on um our our transaction management. So as part of that, like it's printing it, putting it in the packet. So then it's a super easy thing to do come January. So that's an easy win. And it sounds like some of you are doing it, but if you haven't been printing it out as you go, that might be just a small improvement to help make your business a little bit easier. February, we do Valentine's Day cookie pop buys to about 20 to 25 clients. So we get, we have got actually, it's my mother-in-law has a little cookie business, so I use her. We're probably spending, about $250 on cookies to give away to kind of our top tier clients. Does anybody tier or categorize their database as far as clients? Yeah. So we do that same approach. We do the A plus, A, B, C, so for us, an A plus client is somebody who has used us multiple times and sent referrals. So those are your top clients. A is maybe they've used us once or sent us one referral, but we're trying to cultivate. B might just use us once, but nothing, we're not quite there yet. So I would say we have a lot in the A plus, A, and B categories, and then obviously a large amount in C is people we're trying to cultivate and bring in and step up. So when we do our pop buys or mailers, we're really focusing on the A pluses and A's, and then maybe somebody a B that we're trying to move up a tier. Um, in March, we do a St. Patrick's Day lottery ticket mailer. So that one we send to about 100 people, and it's just a $1 lottery ticket with like a fun little card. Happy to send out the template for that card. It's, some like cheesy saying, we're lucky to have your referrals or support. So we mail that out to about 100 clients. Again, we have the card in stock. It's just, picking up the tickets from the gas station, paying for the stamps. That's again, it's around probably, $200 to $300 after postage and buying the lottery tickets. But again, people appreciate it. We get texts all the time saying, we didn't win, but we loved it, or, big winner, I won $2. Yeah. So like, again, it's more just staying top of mind. Again, it's not the immediate return on, investment immediately, but it's building that, connection. In April, we do an ice cream social event at a local ice cream shop. This is great because I would say for both our events, they are very lean and budget friendly. So what we do is we invite pretty much the whole database out to the ice cream social. And as we all know with events, the secret sauce is not in the event itself, it's in all the invitations and the follow-up after. So, we're doing the social media posts, we're doing the personal invites. That's part of my hitting my weekly contacts. We're doing the email invite. We're doing the follow-up, thanking for people for coming. But the way we structure it is, we pick kind of a place where families can kind of hang out too. So it's an ice cream shop, but it was right near a playground and kind of an event lawn where the kids could go play. We brought some soccer balls, some bubble wands. So we're not really spending much money on that. And then we're giving everybody a free ice cream, and we bring a roll of tickets. And then we only pay for people who come. So I think we probably had about 75 people at our last one. And again, we spent probably around, between $300 and $400. So not a huge expense. I think a lot of people with events think you have to have, some fancy gala or rent out some event hall and, have all these, party favors. And certainly I know agents that do that and it works out well. But I find that, I don't find a huge increase in, the because if you spent, make the event some extravagant thing, you're going to get more referrals out of it. So like we're having conversations, we're getting referrals at the event. Again, we're building connection and staying top of mind. So it's very simple. It's easy to implement. And that's what a lot of, because I am an individual agent with a full-time director of operations, a lot of our stuff is like, what can we repeat and make easy for us? Like we're not trying to do complicated mailers. We're not trying to do complicated pop buys. We're not trying to do complicated events. We're trying to, because I am out in the field, I am showing houses, I'm going on listing appointments, I'm going on buyer appointments. Lauren, my director of operations, we have inspections. Like we are still very much in the business. So like we don't have a ton of time just to do events and all the other marketing stuff. So we designed it in a way that fits our business and where we're at. In May, we do a Mother's Day giveaway survey to the Umstead Spa, which is a local spa around here. It's a $250 gift card. I'm going to specifically talk more about giveaways in a few slides, and I'm going to tell you what exactly we do in the giveaway, how we structure it. Because that one, I would say, of all the things we do, the two giveaways is we can directly track referrals, clients raising their hand because we tie the giveaway to a survey. They have to fill out a survey to be eligible to enter this giveaway. So compared to our other events, which I would say it's a lot of like looser, like, hey, that's great. You came to our event, or you got a mailer, or you got a Valentine's Day cookie. Like you don't know if that one thing leads to the referral or the event, but referral or the connection. But the giveaways we do, we have real tangible data, and I'll share that with you in just a bit. In June, we do Father's Day gift cards. So just a $10 gift card to like a local brewery, again, to our A plus and A clients. 4th of July, we do glow stick wands. And typically, again, that's Popeyes. So about 20 to 25 people. Ice cream gift cards in August. As another mailer. September, we do our big annual client appreciation event, and typically we get between 100 and 125 people. Again, it's at a kid-friendly hangout space or brewery based on my life stage and a lot of people in my sphere. A lot of people have younger kids, or so we try and do events that are family friendly and inclusive of that. So I think you really should make sure you know your sphere and the events that you're doing are tailored to what you want. Or certainly if you do micro events, I think you could do more targeted, but we try to keep it kind of broader and more open. And again, we typically get between 100 to 125 people about that. Nothing fancy. Again, we're doing an email invite, we're doing a social media post, we're doing the text and call invites as well. And on that one too, we are giving everybody adult of age two plus two, or sorry, not two plus two drink tickets. And there is a food truck there, but the food truck is on their own. So they choose to stay, or you can order food. There's lots of picnic tables. So again, we are not going above and beyond and paying for everyone's meal or doing extra stuff. We are just paying for their drink tickets. And then, we have some, party favors. We brought, some of our swag. We'll do frisbees or koozies, or we set up a tent. But it's really more, again, about building community than it is about spending money. So that event is probably our most expensive thing that we do, and it's only about between $1,000 and $1,200 is what we're spending on that event. So again, it's a lot again just about building community. In October, we mail out some hot chocolate and apple cider packets. In November, we do another giveaway, and then in December, I send everybody our family holiday card, and then we tie into our office has a Santa event, so we invite people to that. So again, it's not, you might think you're like, I took time out of my Monday to hear this, like like that's it. But it is, and I'm gonna do a deeper dive on some of the stuff. But it's like I just want to get over this misnomer that you have to spend, tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars to run a successful SOI calendar. For us, again, the magic is in the consistency and that we're doing it year after year. We are not missing. I am relentlessly consistent about the contacts. I'm relentlessly consistent about sending out our monthly email newsletter. We always hit our calendar activity. So, that repetition over time is what generates those referrals and that interest. Any questions? I know, like I said, I'm going to dive into the giveaway, but any specific questions about anything else on the marketing calendar?
I have a
Yeah,
question.
Kendall.
Um, so y'all are talking about tax packets. I definitely do the closing paperwork for everyone who's closed with me in the previous year, but what can I send to all my past clients that helps keep what's a tax packet?
Yeah, so that's what we're doing. It is to anyone who is closed. So that's how we've focused it is, and then I'm not sure if you're on. I said we print it out after each closing, so then it makes it nice and easy versus you're doing all
Yeah,
the
we actually we attach them and schedule the emails so it gets emailed, and so I don't even have the cost and have to think about it.
even better. Yeah. So and again, and that's what I would say is not every marketing thing has to hit every client. So the key is, on we're layering it. So it's like we have a mixture of the events everybody's getting invited to, and then we're tiering it by, past clients. We have our A plus clients getting stuff some month, but every month everybody is hearing from us between we do our Sphere newsletter, we do, a neighborhood nurture report, and then we have them on HomeBot as well. So they're getting three electronic touches plus my weekly contacts, I'm rotating and getting through. So like I think also like not everybody needs to get hit every month. I think it's like you rotate it and that's okay. So certainly you could do your whole sphere, but I wouldn't overthink it. And I think you're fine with doing what you're doing. Any other questions specifically about other things besides the giveaway? Okay. So yeah, I said hosting events. We talked about 2 events per year. We only pay for clients who attend. So that's, I would say, a big thing with our events. And just if you're not doing it this way, is that finding venues or events where it's like we bring it a roll of tickets and then we're only paying for the people who attend. So if you can find events where you're not having a built-in fixed cost, I'd say that's a huge way to think about, getting lean on your event budget or your SOI budget. Because I found that I've heard other people and like you spend what on this event? And there are some really cool events where I've heard people spend, you know, invite everybody to a Major League Baseball game and they have 200 people attend, which I'm sure is an amazing event. And if you get vendor sponsors, then maybe it helps offset it. But like it's a huge event, but like a lot of ours are very simple and very basic and they very low cost. And again, the whole idea is more just around creating excitement around our business and staying top of mind. So our thing that I would say is maybe a little bit different. I'm sure a lot of people have heard, do pop buys, they do events, they do mailers, is how we structure our giveaway. I think that's probably the secret sauce of what we do and what's led to a lot of our success is this giveaway. How it stemmed is I was never great at the pies. Raise your hand. Anybody do the Thanksgiving pies? So I maybe had a limiting belief of I grew up in the Raleigh-Durham market and I did not think people would drive, 25, 30 minutes, 45 minutes to come get a pie. So I never structured my pies as an event. I had always done it as pop buys and deliveries. And my final straw was one year I delivered, I think, 75 pies myself across the Triangle Market over 3 days leading up to Thanksgiving. I reeked of pie. I was exhausted. I was intentionally hoping I did not see people just so I could get done faster. And I was just talking with my coach, and it's like, this isn't working. What else could we do? And somehow we, through those conversations, the idea of like, what if instead of doing pies or doing another event that takes time, we do a giveaway? So what we did is we pivoted and we gave a giveaway to a popular restaurant in our area. So I'm going to tell you kind of what our playbook is for this giveaway, what our goals were for the giveaway, how the giveaway worked, the marketing and promotion we did, the results we achieved, and then I'll give you a QR code for a one-page playbook on how to run it. So you don't even have to take notes on this. So we set a few goals. So unlike some of the pie stuff, we wanted some real and some of the and all pretty much all of the other sphere-based activities. We wanted to kind of have this a little be measurable. So we set some goals. We wanted to update contact info for people in our database. So even if they were not giving us business leads or raising their hand, if we could get a phone number that we didn't have, if we could get an email address that we didn't have, some type of information, or maybe it was out of date. So just getting updated contact information alone was something that we wanted to achieve. We wanted to add new contacts into our database. We also wanted to generate leads from those filling out the survey, so people raising their hand saying, I'm ready to make a move. And then we also wanted to generate referrals from those people filling out the survey as well. So what we did is, one of the biggest things with a giveaway I found is you have to choose the right thing to give away. There needs to be buzz and it needs to create excitement. So what we did is we picked a very popular restaurant in our area called the Angus Barn. It's a popular steakhouse. It's a place everybody knows and is excited to go. You go there for special occasions. They decorate really nicely for the holidays and people like to go there. So it was a popular place. Where I've seen people go wrong trying to implement this or do giveaways is things that just don't, like a $250 Visa gift card. Basically, you're just giving away money. A flat screen TV. A lot of people already have a TV. So I think, I've seen mixed results. Some people do the grills or the Yeti coolers. I've seen those work. But I would say I think it's more fun if you do something very hyper local to your market, whether it's a popular restaurant, it's a popular event where it's hard to get tickets to, something that really is going to compel people to fill out the giveaway. Because if it's something that doesn't excite them, you're not going to see the same results as what I'm going to share with you. So picking the right thing is actually the most important first step to get started. And then we're not just giving something away. So you could easily just say, comment here on a Facebook post to say comment here to be entered, or just, let me know if you want to enter. The key is you have to tie it to a survey with very specific required questions. So we just do a Google survey where we're asking for their contact information. So then we can verify, that we have the correct contact information. So, their name, their phone number, their address, their email. And then not if you are planning to make a move, but when are you planning to make your next move, with drop down options of within the next year, 1 to 2 years, 3+ years. If you think about it, anyone that's saying within the next year, that is a hot lead you should be following up with immediately because they are raising their hand. Again, at some point, if they're in your sphere, they may have been reaching out to you anyways, but why not get to them now? And the great thing about the one around Thanksgiving is this is when people are starting to kind of think about, oh, I'm going to make a move in the spring, at least in our market. Each market is seasonal, but for our market, that's how it works a lot. Um, so when are you planning to make your next move, with required drop down questions? And if somebody says 3+ years, they're probably not ready to make a move. And that's okay. And you know that information. So it doesn't, create business where business doesn't exist, but it does clarify, and you'll get some interesting answers to that for people saying, or even somebody 1 to 2 years, they say, why not have that conversation now? And it gives you a reason to reach out to that person. Because how many times have we reached out to a buyer or seller who said, I'm planning to make a move in a year or two, and all of a sudden, next week you're going on a listing appointment or their house, or all of a sudden, 3 months from now, they found the right house. And if you were not in front of them at the right time, then you might not be their agent that's working with them. In our market, we also, I do have buyers who purchase investment property. So we asked if anyone was interested in purchasing an investment property. And then we specifically asked if they had a referral to share with us. So a lot of my business is not as direct. And I know my coach is like, a lot of your business is just, passive, hoping, waiting for people, the hope and pray mentality. But I would argue it's a hope and pray with a strategic reminder of staying top of mind. But this is one of the few times where we are very direct, and we're tying it, again, with the giveaway, asking if they have a referral to share with us. And then what we do is we keep it simple, and we keep this only open for 1 week. How we market it is we email the database to announce the survey. So we're announcing, hey, you can win this gift card. All you have to do is fill out the short survey link. We're sending a reminder email a couple of days before the survey deadline. We are recording a video for social media to promote the survey. And then here's another tip that I thought worked really well is we sent direct messages to people that we're connected with on in social media or our sphere, but not were not in our database. And I'm sure, I'm not alone in this. How many of you guys have, people that are your Facebook friends with or you're connected with on Instagram, but they're not getting your newsletter, they're not getting your neighborhood nurture report. They're seeing what you do on social media, but they're missing the other components of your strategic marketing. So what we did is we just sent a quick direct message saying like, hey, not saying, we want your contact number. It's like, hey, we're doing a giveaway for this. Hope you have a chance to win. Not did everyone fill it out? No, but we added quite a few new people into our database and not just our, social media by doing that direct ask. I personally found that a lot easier because I think it's super awkward and maybe other agents are better about like, hey, we've been connected on Facebook for 15 years. We don't really talk, but I'd love to get your phone number and your email to add you into my real estate database. Like I don't even feel comfortable asking that, and I think a lot of people probably wouldn't give you that information voluntarily. Either they would probably just leave you on red. So I don't think you'd get it. Versus if you say, hey, it's been a while, just wanted to let you know I'm doing a giveaway to this popular restaurant or this popular activity in my market. Would love to see you engage with that. So we did add quite a few people into our database that way. And then also because I do some farming, we put a QR code on our farming postcard and we added some new people into the database that we farm. So that was helpful because now in addition to just getting the direct mail pieces, we can market to them via email as well. So that was kind of how we marketed and promoted our giveaway. The results we'd had from the first year we did this is we had 247 total entries, and I would say about the time we originally did this a few years ago, my database was lean and mighty, but I would say we were probably only about 500 to 550 people in the database itself. So to have that many entries was great. We added 57 new contacts into our database. We got updated contact information for 88 people. So again, phone number and email, hopefully not an address because that means they moved and didn't use us. But we got updated contact info for 88 people. We had 46 people raise their hands saying they were interested, in learning more about investment properties. We had 22 people say they were likely to move within the next year. 42 within 1 to 2 years, and then 183 was 3+ years. So again, good info, but really doesn't tell you much. It's more the first two. And then we had 15 people give us direct referrals. So compared to driving pies around for 3 days that ate up so much of my time, and I couldn't give you one tangible piece of information about whether that led to any business, we pivoted. We spent $250, which was probably less than we spent on the pies, and got all of this great data. So I would encourage you, if you guys are not using giveaways, this is, I would say, kind of the secret sauce of our sphere. And what I've seen doing this a few years in a row has really led to increasing our sphere-based business because it's direct, tangible data. And even like to me, it's like if we didn't even get any referrals, but we added 57 new people to our database and updated contact info for 88, that alone is worth $250. Like one part of this alone is worth the money, but all of it combined is just like you can't beat for the results you get out of this for the amount of money that you're spending. Um, I'll go back a slide. Any questions about the giveaways and how that works, or does that make sense? Was that pretty clear? Okay, I see people on their heads. Um, So obviously, I do an agent newsletter, so full transparency. Would love to connect with you guys. I'm on social media too, so would love to. I am in the Raleigh-Durham market of North Carolina. So if you want to connect on Instagram, I think I put the QR code there, but would love to stay connected and add you to my agent newsletter. Our agent newsletter too, I think, is a little different than a lot. It's not just, here's the newest listing in our market. We try and do like one tangible item of value of something that's working in our business, whether it's, a link to the giveaway playbook. Here's an umbrella a vendor that we found, and that some new swag that we're giving away. So it's really short and sweet, and we lead with value. So would love to connect with you guys on that front. And then if you want the giveaway playbook itself, you can put your QR code there and scan that, and then we'll email you the one-page playbook. So then, I'm sure you took some notes, but then it really is it's modeled after the Jason Abrams playbooks. If any of you guys are familiar with that, so we kind of R&D'd what he did and just created a one-page playbook. So it's really easy for people to see the exact questions we're asking, the cadence of when we're doing things, so that you have that information for your own knowledge. So I did not take the full hour because I wanted to leave time for questions. And, like I said, if you've learned anything about me, I like, short, sweet, and efficient. It's my business model. But yeah, feel free to come off mute if you guys have any questions about any of the marketing stuff, about the playbook, about giveaways, about business in general. Happy to answer any questions.
I have a quick question for you, Keith.
Yeah.
So those new contacts that you got, especially thinking like the ones from social media, was there any kind of like thinking of like, okay, how do you cement them from being like, hey, there's somebody I know on social, they entered in and now they're like in the database. Do you guys do like any kind of, is it just like, okay, now they're in it and like they're in our machine, or is it, um, do you have something that you do to like welcome them in and like, here's what to expect and, or,
No, yeah, we kind of put them in with our regular kind of how we market to everybody else. And it might be more of an individual touch. So I'm using that probably more as like, a way to connect, or if I sort of loosely, just to kind of, build rapport and relationship. But no, we don't have, a separate, kind of, onboarding campaign. And I think like a lot of what like I've learned is that like with where I'm at in my business and the level of production, except we're closing, we closed 60 units last year. It's like we just don't have the time or bandwidth to do certain things. And it's not that we don't care, but it's like also like realizing we don't you can't do it all, and you can't do everything to the, I think if I had a big team, I think that would be great. You could have a separate onboarding, but a lot of I think what you can do is just, add people into your systems and kind of, work them in. And is it perfect? No, but it's working well for us.
perfect. That's awesome. No, that's super. I'm kind of glad to hear that like you don't and it still
Yeah, no,
works.
and that's what I think,
So,
and that's like, and again, a lot of the stuff might not be new information or new things you've heard, but I just like to emphasize that like you can run a really great sphere business and do really well, and I would argue my profit margins are probably a lot better than a lot of these, small, medium, and large teams.
Mhm.
Um, because it's like we are lean, we're efficient, and we're not spending a ton of money on something that, I think other things, people paying for Zillow leads, or, doing, YouTube, or all these other things that are really, could cost a lot of money. You can run a really great sphere business that generates huge results without spending a ton of money.
Mhm.
So yeah, everything that I shared, again, it's a little under $10,000 we're spending on our sphere. Now, is that our full budget? No, it's like, sometimes we'll add on, and might do like, umbrellas to some of our top clients, or, a referral thank you gift. And obviously we spend money on listings, and I've got a director of operations. So it's like I'm not just spending $10,000 for the year, but on this specific plan, that's what we're spending money on. Kendall or Kimberly, any questions?
Does that 10,000 include the farming part?
No. So that was just, yeah. So, and I did not include the farming part as part of that 500K. So the 500K was just from sphere-based referrals. Farming, I would say we are closer to probably we spend, and that's where I'll just be candid. It's like I struggle with farming because we're spending almost on as much on farming as we are on our SOI, and we don't get that kind of result. So like last year, we spent, I think, probably around 10K on farming, and we got maybe 100 to 125K in GCI, which is still good. It's, like a 10 to 1, but it's not a 5,000. Or so it's, and I debated with my coach whether we keep it or not, but it is another pillar, and it is a more lead gen focused pillar versus this could be a lot of our sphere base is buy or list versus that one is more listing focused. So we've kept it, but it does not get the same ROI. But for the numbers I used, the SOI, we are only spending, I said, a little under 10,000 for about 500, a little over 500K. And then I would say we're spending another 10K on farming to get, around 100 to 125. And then agent referrals, I didn't talk on to it. That wasn't really the focus of this one, but I would say like we don't really, other than like some thank you gifts, and it's more for the agent referrals. It's the agent newsletter, it's the contacts, and then consistently attending events. So I go to try to do family reunion, mega camp. I go to our Carolinas regional conference. So if you haven't gotten involved in your region, I would say that's actually one of the better events because it's like there's a lot of like inter-region moving, at least in our region. I don't know if that's the case in where you guys are at, but a lot of referrals from people, in other parts of North Carolina or other parts of South Carolina. So I've gotten a lot of good relationships through going with that. And then attending part of the Gary Keller top 200 individual mastermind. So, I would say I go to about 4 to 5 events a year, um, do the agent newsletter, and then I have the agent contacts. And that's done very well for us. Cool. All right. Well, if there are not any other questions, I just want to thank you all for joining on a Monday.
Thank you
Thank
for
you
the
so
time.
much. It was good
Yeah.
information.
Yep. Thank you guys.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you guys.
All right, how do I close this?